Hello and welcome back to our special podcast series on India-Pakistan tensions. These tensions began, of course, after that horrific massacre of tourists in Jammu and Kashmir on the 22nd of April. And what we've seen unfold in the last 48 hours is unprecedented. India has struck at Pakistan not once, but two times. We first launched Operation Sindoor, targeting the terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. We hit 9 locations across the length and breadth of Pakistan, in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and, importantly, in Punjab province. And a few hours later, responding to Pakistan's attacks on 15 Indian cities, which were defeated by India's AD networks, our air defense networks, India launched a broad daylight drone strike against targets in Pakistan. And here we are today, 48 hours later, looking into a crystal ball and seeing what lies ahead. Does the situation indicate that India is going for a full-scale military offensive against Pakistan? What happens next? What are the milestones that we've crossed? What are the red lines that we've crossed in the last couple of hours? And to make sense of this, I have once again with me my friend, Colonel Anurag Awasthhi.
Thank you, Sandeep. Good to be back on the show after decimation of Notorious 9.
The Notorious 9. We're going to talk about that very soon. Make sense of what we have seen in the last 48 hours. Unprecedented developments, possibly of the kind that we have not seen since the 1971 war. What are the 5 big takeaways, according to you, in the subcontinent right now?
The 5 big takeaways, let me start firstly with the Notorious 9 day, which is the 7th May. I call it the Notorious 9.
Right.
The first thing is that the choice of targeting has been extremely carefully selected, whether it is in POK or inside in Pakistan.
Right.
And the strategic message that India has given Pakistan is
with
that
Operation Sindoor.
Yes, with Operation Sindoor is that they will strike the targets at will at the time and space of their own choosing, and especially the major high visibility targets, unlike what you did in Balakot or during the surgical strikes. And you're looking at the absolute terrorist seminaries of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur and Murid. So that in itself is a very big statement.
Right.
Now, in wake of this, if I segue you back to the 16th of April, where Asim Munir gave that famous speech.
Right.
And he said, if I could encapsulate his speech in 3 major points, that, Pakistan is built on an ideology.
Yes.
The custodians of that ideology is the Pakistan Army. And the Pakistan Army is absolutely loyal and the state is absolutely loyal to Islam. So this is essentially what he mentioned in his speech. Now, with that, if you look at it, the entire Munir doctrine has failed. Where is he? I can't see him.
Doctrine. The Munir, how interesting. That. So you're saying that the May 16th speech essentially lays out the Munir doctrine.
That's correct.
Which is basically a hard stance. And he talks about a hard state, but he was actually talking about the Munir doctrine.
Yes. On 16th of April, this is what he wanted to convey.
Right.
Before Pahalgam.
6 days before the Pahalgam.
There you go.
So what's happened to the Munir doctrine now?
It's gone into thin air.
Right.
It's gone into thin air. Now, the third takeaway, which I find, is that the mode and the modus operandi of war fighting has now changed.
Right.
Post something, which you could generally, call in the armed forces as or an incident.
Yes.
Let's look at, Pahalgam as the biggest incident. The mode of war fighting between you going in for the hard kill and the intervening period has changed, where you have now utilized drones.
Right.
You have utilized precision-based ammunition.
Right.
Whether it is a scalp or a hammer or whether it is the loiter munitions or whatever, I will not go into the details.
Standoff weapons.
The standoff weapons.
Which are launched from your side.
Launched from your side with precision.
Right.
So a lot of things have changed in terms of your thinking, your war fighting, and your looking at how the war fighting is going to evolve in the next, around 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or what have you, whichever way.
Standoff weapons, precision weapons, drones being used. But let's break it down into, its essential components. So we have India striking back just about 2 days back on the 9th of May, early hours of the 9th of May, Operation Sindoor. Pakistan retaliates in about 12 hours, late that night, or possibly the intervening night. They attack 15 Indian military installations across the length and breadth of India, from Jammu and Kashmir right down to Gujarat. A lot of them were air bases, right from Srinagar to Jammu and right down to Bhuj air base in the south. And then India retaliates in broad daylight in a couple of hours, in a span of a few hours. Just on the morning of 10th of May, we attack Pakistan's Punjab province again, interestingly, in broad daylight, using these drones that you mentioned. And then Pakistan retaliates a few hours later at night by using drones against Jammu. And now we are actually in that phase. But very interesting that the point that you mentioned about all of this war fighting being done from our side of the border. They have not strayed into our airspace. We haven't gone into their airspace. All that has been crossing the airspace has been these weapons, these long-range missiles, these cruise missiles, air-to-ground munitions, and of course, drones. So the nature of war fighting itself has changed. What about the timelines? Do you see a compression in the timelines of attack and incident response?
I would not call it a compression of time between the incident and the response. See, Sandeep, let's go back to 1971.
Right.
And look at the choice of targeting which Pakistan has again chosen. I mean, it's again looks like the same copybook style,
right.
as to you get into something like a riposte after you've been hammered at 9 locations with the entire wherewithal, with precision. And all those targets are known terrorist targets.
Right.
They are terrorist factories.
Right.
They are terror factories.
Right.
So you have not, struck any economic installation. You
Right.
have taken care of collateral damage. You
Yes.
have not struck any, civilian installation. You have
Right.
not struck the populous centers.
Right.
So the messaging to the world is very clear that look,
Right.
we do not want to escalate, but now these are those 9 important locations, which is
Right.
well known by everybody.
Right.
Even in the Western world, people know that is what it is. And they have been stuck. Now, one is this copybook style of what they did in 1971 when they, initiated the air raids on the
Right.
3rd of December
Right.
of 1971. Now, look at the choice of targeting from their end. That is one.
Hmm.
The second thing is when you look at, their ground systems or AD systems, like, HQ9 in Lahore.
Yes.
Now, they really thought that, they would, after they retaliate with whatever they had to for the 15, locations which they had chosen with their great military acumen,
Right.
that things will be, hitherto, and, everybody would, call peace and all of that, because there is no mobilization as yet and all of that.
Right. Right.
Lo and behold, you strike Lahore.
Yes.
You strike the Punjab province.
Right.
So the messaging was that till the conflict was absolutely subjugated to the line of control,
Yes.
fine.
Right.
But if you are now crossing the international border
Yes.
and you are getting into Indian sovereign territory,
Right.
then so be it. Then you would possibly get what you deserve.
Right.
The third part is when you're looking at these munitions and when you're looking at these missiles and when
Yes.
you're looking at all these targetings which are taking place from the LC downwards to the IB, more or
Right.
less the north of Sialkot Bulge, and then you
Yes.
go down to Punjab and then you go down to Rajasthan, especially border areas.
Right.
You are using drones.
Yes.
And you're using those small RPVs, if I may
Right.
call them.
Right. Weaponized RPVs.
Yes, so they are essentially high visibility, low impact.
Right.
So at the end of the day, we have to understand that there is nothing very great about it.
Right. High visibility and low impact.
Low impact, because they are not going to be going very far. Obviously, they have to be launched in vicinity.
Yes.
They have their own
short-range weapons.
Yeah, they have their own loiter time. They
Right.
have their own endurance and all of that. For all you know, they just be probing your air defense cover. For all you know, they may be looking
Probing.
at your,
That's interesting. So they're forcing you to light up.
Absolutely.
They're lighting up your
lighting up
radars,
your radars,
and then
your AD
locating
facilities
them.
and all of
yes.
that.
Yes.
But then I
have
think
to be-
kudos to the Indian air defense
Right.
system.
Right.
Whether you start from the Sudarshan Chakra, what
Yeah.
an outstanding name
That's
given
right.
to it, from S400, you
Yeah.
come down to the, the Barak, down to the Spider,
Right.
then coming down to, the various,
The Akash, the L70.
and then coming to the Iglas, whether they are the new S or
Yes.
the old M,
Right.
or you come down to the Zoo 23 Twin, or you
Right.
look at the others. I mean, the gun and missile
Yes.
mix,
Right.
along with the Indian CNR and the Akash team,
Yes.
I think it's been a phenomenal.
It's been a phenomenal
state of affairs.
State of affairs, and phenomenal learning exercises, lots of lessons for the future. Two big questions really now, Colonel Awasthi. The first is India now reserves the right to retaliate for what happened in Jammu.
Yes.
How would India retaliate, to your mind and appreciation? Will there be a military mobilization, a ground offensive? And my second question would be on the internal situation within Pakistan. Look into the crystal ball and tell us the Munir doctrine has failed. Munir is nowhere to be seen. He's vanished from public sight. What is going to happen in Pakistan next? Which civilian will they turn to in Pakistan? But first, how India will retaliate?
All right. I'll take the second question first. When you look at the internal strife in Pakistan, first is the first casualty of war is the truth.
Right.
And you see a large amount of misinformation which is being broadcast in a large number of channels in Pakistan. And you see a lot of social media which is flooded with whatever has happened and what has not happened, and people are jingoistic and people are making stories and all of that. So that misinformation campaign, Pakistanis have been past masters at it.
Right.
So the first thing is that we need not get too perturbed by what you see on the social media. That is one. The second thing is that if you look at the internal strife in Pakistan, you've seen what happened in Balochistan just 2 days ago.
Right.
There have been issues concerning the Pakistani army where they've been, blasted off by IEDs by the Baloch Liberation Army freedom fighters. As we mentioned earlier, they are Baloch Liberation Army. They are freedom fighters.
Right.
They are not some militants or something. Why would you call them militants? And then you see the flagging support for the Pakistan army for what Asim Munir has done. Now, how do you redo this? Now, the biggest problem with the Pakistani establishment and the diaspora in Pakistan and abroad, to my mind, is how do you save your face?
Right.
So, by saving face, you have to do some populist measures.
Right.
So to do some populist measures is remove Munir, get another guy. Mirza is in line.
Right.
He's the chief.
DGISI and the NSA.
No, the Mirza.
The other. Right.
Chief of Joint Services Staff.
Joint Chiefs of Staff.
That's correct.
Right.
He's in line.
Yes, right.
He was overlooked for the Chief of Army Staff earlier. So, or play the MasterCard. Release Imran Khan.
Release Imran Khan. How interesting.
It is a possibility because it's a populist measure. It is to tell the Pakistani populace that while the Pakistani army has been touted as some savior of the Almighty and all of that, but then there are still people who are in the politics who come from a very different genre, who are civilians, who are willing to take the brunt for Pakistan and all of that.
So you mean it would be like presenting a united front in Pakistan, uniting the people and all of that in the face of, adversity, unprecedented adversity, which I'm sure they're not used to not living without. But who will take this decision, Colonel Awasthi? If Imran Khan were indeed to be released, that would have to be the military, right? Will Asim Munir actually swallow his pride and go back to Imran Khan, release him and give him the power that he was so afraid of? He's actually, this whole internal problem is a fight between Munir and Imran Khan.
Yes, I would possibly agree with you on that, but I do not think that Munir has any more, gravitas in the overall calculus of Pakistan. So I'm sure people have understood that
Munir is exposed.
Yeah, he's exposed.
Right.
And if you see the body language of Shehbaz Sharif
yes,
yesterday,
yeah, we discussed that. Yeah,
he's giving
look like a hostage.
Yeah. So there's a gentleman who's sitting. He feels that somebody's put a gun to his head.
Right.
His jingoistic words in Urdu do not correspond to his body language.
Yes.
So you really think that Asim Munir has got the basic wherewithal to do something right now? And in the last 2 or 3 days, I think he's already passed his relay baton of that losing race to this DGISP.
To the DGISP and the civilian administration,
And the
of
civilian
course.
administration.
Right.
So
And
he's
he's
already
receded into the background.
Absolutely.
But the important question that everybody wants to know the answer to, and who better than you to answer this? You've been part of Parakram, that massive military mobilization after the parliament attack, and of course of Vijay before that. 1999 in Kargil. But tell us what you make of India's options now. After these strikes in Jammu, they were limited strikes. They were low intensity strikes using drones, but they targeted civilian infrastructure. They targeted airports. They targeted some military installations as well. Will India respond? Will India climb up the escalation ladder? Will we order a general mobilization of the military?
Right. Now this is a question, which I will answer in parts. The first question is, will India climb the escalator ladder? I mean, I take you back and segue you to the National Security Advisor's statement yesterday, where he said that India will not escalate, but will not be very, very away from any retaliation.
Right.
This is a profound statement. He says it very clearly that, look, if you want to stop now, you stop it. We have given you the exact messaging what was to be done. And if you want to then get into a duel, then so be it.
Right.
So we've already seen that resolve which has happened last night, where your Sudarshan Chakra has been activated.
Yes.
You've possibly down 2 or 3 of their aircraft, including one F-16, I'm told.
Right.
This is what is coming on media. And I think 2 JF-17s, I think Pakistan media has already admitted to it that 2 JF-17s have been downed by the Indian Air Force or by the Indian Air Defense Systems.
Right. But a lot of this is the fog of war. We don't want to get into that yet.
So as I mentioned, the first casualty of war is the truth. So it's most of it is misinformation. So one doesn't know what it is. At this juncture, there is still a little time, as per me, between mobilization, complete mobilization, and looking at another response in case the escalatory ladder, is breached. Because, the escalatory ladder, Sandeep, has a lot of steps.
Right.
If you give a carte blanche statement, that, there is going to be general mobilization because this has happened or that has happened, I do not think it will be in the right interest of the armed forces or of the nation or of anybody else who's going to be prosecuting operations to be told that, look, you just get up and go. See, as I mentioned earlier, war is a national effort. The armies don't go to war, nations go to war.
Right.
So a lot of issues in terms of preparation, in terms of equipping, in terms of the campaign season, whether it suits you, doesn't suit you, cropping pattern, the irrigation pattern, water, weather, your supply chains, your issues of movement from place A to place B. There are, war is a complex business.
Yes.
So while I may say that, India will always be up and about to keep going up the steps of escalatory ladder in case Pakistan does not behave.
Right.
To me, general mobilization as of now looks a little far-fetched.
It's still in the distance.
Yeah, it's in the distance.
Right.
It's not in the immediate vicinity.
Right.
While the situation is evolving, we can't say.
Right.
You and I can't say, we are not Mandarins, but the way the situation is evolving, I would implore a lot of people to look at social media hygiene.
Yes.
I would implore a lot of people to look at what is being said and what is being done.
Right.
There's a lot of gap between both what is being said and what is being done, and have faith in this country's polity as well as the armed forces. We are the best insofar as the armed forces are concerned, and the finest insofar as our prosecution of operations and our ethos is concerned.
Right.
So be it. And you are fighting an enemy which was very clearly said by Pakistan a little while ago, and Imran Khan, parroted it openly. It said, "दहशत गर्दी के पीछे वर्दी है."
ये जो दहशत गर्दी है उसके पीछे वर्दी है. Who can forget that very, very, poignant slogan from Pakistan, which also seems to have realized that yes, there is no state, there is no non-state actor, rather, it is the state that is behind terrorism, and the state actually means the Pakistan army. But thanks very much for your deep insights on this unfolding situation in the subcontinent, Colonel Awasthi. We'll be coming back to you for more updates on that as we track the tensions on the India-Pakistan front.
Thank you, Sandeep. What a pleasure.